All right, welcome back to another weekly training. My name is Joel Evan. I'm the founder of First Responder Fathers, helping men build unshakable marriages and deeper connection with their kids. And the topic I want to go over today actually had to do with a client's feedback and their testimonial and how well they were doing. I'm seeing men's marriages shift radically. I mean, we're talking from weeks to even just as short as a month. And this is happening when, you're hearing your wife say, I think I want a divorce, or even worse, I don't love you. And this quickly we're seeing the results. And I started thinking, I'm like, why are guys that are coming into my coaching program, why are they getting results so quickly? And I boiled it down to four big pillars. And I think if you have these four pillars solidified in your marriage, you can save any marriage. There's some obviously we know that are damaged beyond repair, but in general, I think when a woman says to you or your wife says, I want a divorce or I don't love you, I think that's not the end. Most guys go dark and they go isolate and they're like, oh my God, the world is ending. But the reality is, I think that's a check engine light. It's simply a time for you to get conscious and go, what's going on? What's wrong with this car? What have I been doing to it? I haven't been putting in the oil. I haven't been changing the tires. I haven't been doing the necessary work. And now it's breaking down. That is what that is. And I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to prove it to you in this big win walkthrough of one of my clients, George. And you're going to kind of see how this then correlates to the four pillars. So let's jump into things. Before I do, a couple of things. One is, if I have an amazing 20-page guide on how to be an elite husband, father, or future father or husband. And if you guys want that, just let me know, comment below and let me know, just drop me a line and I will send it to you for free. It's got so much good. It's really a holistic approach. It covers mind, body, and soul. So if you guys want that, let me know. Just drop me a line and I'll send that to you. The other thing is, maybe if you might be watching this, you have no idea who I am. My name is Joel Evan. I'm a best-selling author, a coach, a father with two young boys, and I've been married for 11 years. And for 10 years of probably my marriage, it was disaster. It was a roller coaster. And I can think of at least 6 times my wife said, should we get a divorce? And so I'm here to tell you that it's possible if you put in the work and do these 4 pillars for sure. So let's jump into things. I want to start it off, and I'm going to share with you just a recent testimonial from one of my clients, George. And you can see here, he's just kind of giving us some feedback saying, he's feeling great. His health is on fire. He was a type 2 diabetic. He's gone 4 days without taking an insulin shot. Okay, that's number one. And the second thing is, he says in the comments below, his wife actually finally just said, I love you. This was a woman for months that said, I don't care about you. I don't love you. And so huge win for him. I'm so proud of him. And what it boils down to, again, is, like I said, I think these 4 main pillars. Now, number one is this. You actually have to have awareness that you have a problem. You have to, as Jocko Willink says, subordinate your ego. I think a lot of us are in this charged ego state, right? We don't think we're wrong. But it's not even that. It's not, you might even say to yourself, I don't think I'm wrong. Believe me, I said this. I know. I used to blame my wife and my kids for all the problems, for why they hated me. And I'm like, do you know who I am? I'm a life coach, best-selling author. I do all these seminars. I do all these coaching. I know better than anybody. It's not my fault. It's your fault. Well, the first step is you got to subordinate your ego and look deeper and say, what am I doing that is possibly causing the rifts and the problems in the marriage? Okay? That's number one. And it reminds me, too, of this quote by the founder, Bill Wilson, of Alcoholics Anonymous. He says, all progress starts by telling the truth. And why is that so important? We see it in the AA meetings of why it's so important. But the big deal, guys, is most of us are avoiding looking inside of ourselves. And instead, we don't want to know the truth. Because if we look inside, that's the truth. That's the answer right there. And none of us really want to do that because it's scary. And we might actually have to admit that we're wrong. And so many men are living in what we call the gap. There's the gain where you're in this awesome state, positivity, things are flowing. And then there's many of us where we're living in the gap, like we don't have enough and we don't feel like we're enough. And so we're not being true. We're not aligned with our higher purpose and our vision of what we've been set out to do and lead our family. Most importantly, most of us instead, we go external. We start to blame other people, or we start to, imbibe in new addictions because we're trying to solve the problem that way, or we're just trying to cope. Or again, we blame. It's everybody else's problem. It's not my problems. And so going external is not going to solve your problem. You got to go inwards. That's number one. Number two is check your habits, man. Look at what George said. His habits were in disarray, right? Like his health was in disarray. Type 2 diabetic. Like type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease. And we've proven that over and over again, right? It's not a genetic disorder. It's not something that just gets passed down to you. This is a lifestyle disease caused by the environment, lifestyle, lack of sleep, your nutrition, what you're putting in your body. We did a functional medicine detox with George and we completely wiped that away, his type 2 diabetes in a week. And you can see already he's like 4 days without an insulin shot. How did we do that? Because we started dialing him in with the right habits, the right nutrition, the right exercise. I mean, think about it. If you're not filling up your bucket first, if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you have the capacity to lead your family to greatness? You can't even lead yourself. You don't even have the self-mastery to manage you, let alone you think you're going to manage other people. I hear so many dads saying to themselves like, yeah, I put my kids before, myself. And so I do all these things, I work overtime. Guys, I was there. I worked as a police officer. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I was a police officer for 15 years in the busiest cities in pretty much the nation, working in Oakland and San Francisco. I know what busy is. I work 30 hours of overtime every pay period, every 2 weeks. I know what busy is, and I know what that led me to. I always kept care of my physical health, but I wasn't taking care of my family. They were getting sloppy seconds, and I justified it by saying, oh, well, hey, it's okay because I'm providing for them. Providing, killing, and conquering is not enough, guys. You've got to go deeper. You've got to do more. And so what are your habits? What are you doing to nurture you so that you can show up as the best leader for your family? The third big pillar is got to be communication. I hear so many guys telling me, Joel, my communication, I don't know how to communicate with my spouse, right? And it causes so much conflict. And so if you're not communicating in a positive and regular way with your wife, you're not having touch points with her on a regular basis, that's going to happen. And that was exactly what George was experiencing. He didn't have regular connection or contact. He had the typical thing that we see in all marriages, like, how was your day? Good morning. I love you. Good night. Love you. Have a great day. Just the common vernacular that we all fall into. We all fall into this trap. But there's no love. There's no connection. And so we had to build that into his marriage through habits, number one, right? Self-mastery, but then also actually giving him tactical tools to engage in communication in a way that he wasn't blaming or shaming or doing any of those types of things to his wife. So he could actually acknowledge her pain. He could validate, he could empathize with her, but still do it in a way that he's able to communicate what he wants to communicate. Because that is actually the point of leadership. I'm not telling you to just do whatever your wife tells you and just be a people pleaser. I did that for years, and that's the worst thing you could do. That is called nice guy syndrome. I fell into that for years. I thought I was doing the right thing by just let her do whatever she wants because I'm a good guy. Well, I'm here to tell you, your wife doesn't need any more good guys. Actually, she looks at that as a sign of weakness. And I know because I talk to a lot of women and they tell me, I don't want to be like people please. Have him please himself first and then understand and know how to please me. But you guys don't understand how to get into the communication framework. And so that's something that I teach in my class with all of my men is how do we engage in this thoughtful communication regularly so that we can break the cycles that we've all come into with the marriage, from the way we've been parented, the way we grew up, to maybe the job. Like as a police officer, I had a job that actually didn't force me, but was an ideal skill to have, to be detached and isolated. That's actually a really good thing, not a good thing to bring to a marriage or a family. So my communication was a wreck. And so using some of the skills we talked about, being able to empathize and validate and connect with your significant other on a regular basis, that is going to resolve so much conflict, guys. And you know what? One quick thing, going back to habits that I didn't mention, when you think about your daily habits, like, do you have daily habits that actually force you to actually do nice things for your kids or your wife? That's a really key point. And I think we lose that. All the things that we did to engage our wife, to get her to get her to marriage, to get to the moving van stage where you buy a house and everyone's moving in. I think all of us think, well, that's the finish line. Made it, got it, and we just tune out. That's the beginning, baby. That's when you actually start doing things and really growing together. And I know this for a fact because I feel like after 11 years of marriage, I'm finally, for the first time, really growing with my wife. I didn't even know who she was 11 years ago when I said I do. And now I'm really starting to understand the passion that comes out when you do these things. And the last big pillar, guys, is community. You got to have another community of men who are working towards the same thing that you're working towards so that you can get regular feedback, regular accountability of what's working for them, and also learn from them and have a place where you can shed some of these toxic emotions, toxic shame maybe that you're facing, and you can have a group and a community to lift you up. I think about this all the time, like how can you, and I learned this from one of my business coaches. He was like, how can you actually like start a business when most of your friends are like 9 to 5 people? If you go bounce ideas off your 9 to 5 friends, they're going to be like, Joel, go back and get a normal job. It's safer. You get a 401k, you got medical benefits. None of them are going to support you the way that entrepreneurial community is if that's what you're trying to create. And it's the same thing for marriage and family and fatherhood and brotherhood. How can you become an elite man when you're not surrounding yourself by the men who are also doing the work? It's like that famous Jim Rohn quote, right? You're only the best of like the 5 people that you hang around. If you look at your closest 5 circle of friends, that's probably who you are too. And so having a community is super impactful. So those are the top 4 pillars, and I've created this community. I want to give you a little sneak peek behind what you can see in just my program and kind of the way I have laid it out. And here it is. I mean, we've got some really awesome stuff here, and you'll see I have the foundations of the program right here. This goes into everything we talked about, the ego and the 3 impediments that get in everybody's way, the habits that you need, the levels of the mind, how to create certainty in your relationship. We've got self-mastery, mindset, habits, because if you can't take care of yourself, guys, how can you take care of anyone else? We go into health and fitness. I just invested in a health and longevity course that cost me $3,000. And it's all about how do we stay less inflamed, live the longest, like what's the best diet for that? What's the longevity diet? How can we exercise with the least amount of time and get the most bang for our buck so that our joints aren't aching when we're old and we're in our 50s, which is not even old anymore, or 60s or 70s, so that we can live long to play with our grandkids. And so I put all that information, some of the newest stuff right there. Then we go into marriage, we go into communication. There's several modules broken out in there. And then I go into kids, discipline. And so it's really the complete package of everything you need to up-level your marriage. It's everything that I used and all the techniques that I've gained over the last 11 years through spending $102,000 in my own investment, in my own self and self-growth, in business development, parenting, health, longevity, everything. So it's all in there. Anyways, I just wanted to share all that with you. I hope this was helpful and it gave some aha moments and just something where you're like, oh man, like you nailed it. And I think I did, because it's right there. The proof is in the pudding, as they say, not to be cliche. So guys, if you need more help in your marriage, you want to up level it, you want to take it to the next level, you want accountability, you want a brotherhood, feel free, reach out, let me know. I'm happy to go one-on-one. I'll give you a free hour of power where you and I can dive deep into your marriage, your fatherhood, your family, and I will give you a blueprint, a free blueprint. There's no catch. I'm going to give you actually the blueprint for your personalized individual plan. So when you leave that call, you actually have a very clear idea of what you need to do to fix your marriage, your family, wherever you're at in your life. Or if you just want the free guide, shoot me a DM or just comment and let me know, drop me a line, and I will send that to you. Man, amazing connecting with everybody, and have an amazing week. I hope this was helpful.